Welcome to the 2020 Formula One World Championship. Here we are at the first race in what should be another thrilling season. I think the action this year will be very, very close. But as always with F1, you can never be too sure. Anyway, let's get started. The Melbourne circuit is certainly one that needs to be taken seriously. Its combination of slippery surfaces and difficult corners make it a tricky track when it comes to overtakes. Drivers find it hard to pass and will need to take full advantage of those DRS zones if they want to have any hope of breaking through. Joining us today to oversee all the thrills and spills, it's Anthony Davidson. And great to see you. How are you feeling about the race today, and how are the circuit conditions from what you've seen?
Well, it's looking a bit cold out there, if I'm honest. These tyres have quite a narrow operating window in terms of the temperatures they need to extract the best grip. So with a cold track surface, it's going to be harder to keep those temperatures up, which will lead to lower grip and maybe more mistakes.
It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Young superstar Max Verstappen starts from pole position, with Sebastian Vettel starting alongside. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Bottas, Leclerc, Alexander Albon, and Ocon, Ricciardo, Norris, Sainz, and Pierre Gasly, Kvyat, Perez, Lance Stroll, and Raikkonen, Giovinazzi, Magnussen, Romain Grosjean and George Russell, Latifi and Lewis Hamilton rounds off the grid. Now, it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track.
Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Today we are going to be doing the last to first challenge in a championship series. We're going to be doing 50% race, and the championship starts at Australia, so that's where we are today. So we are going to be going on the soft and then straight to the hard, doing the one stop. Let's see if we can make it work. As you can see, we are at the back, as it is the last to first challenge. And it's 5 laps. And away we go for the Australian Grand Prix. Ahead of us is Latifi and Russell. And we are going to dive it up the inside of both of them, as well as Kevin Magnussen, as we go out wide, and we actually get a warning. On this game, warnings are very brutal, so if you get 3 warnings you get a penalty, as we go dive up the inside of Kimi Raikkonen and Kevin Magnussen. And coming up to Giovinazzi, we almost run into the back of him as he slows down very unexpectedly, and again we almost run into the back of them as they are very slow on this first lap. Now we just want to pick our braking points and pick where we want to overtake all these cars, as they are much slower than the Mercedes of Lewis Hamilton. As we go up the inside, and we almost go into the side of Sergio Perez, but luckily there was no contact, and we are up into P14. And Stroll is getting a little bit away as we had a bit of oversteer, and through this corner it is very easy to get warnings, which we have done. So now we are already on 2 warnings within the first lap, and 1 more warning means a penalty. So now I'm going to be driving much more cautiously throughout the rest of this race. And I'm thinking going around the outside, and I got up the inside of Lance Stroll, making sure there was a little bit of contact there, but making sure we get the job done. Next ahead is Sergio Perez. We are up into P13 on lap 2 of the 29 lap race at the Australian Grand Prix, as we're closing up to the back of Sergio Perez. These cars were very easy to overtake, as they were back markers versus my Mercedes. As we go around the outside of Sergio Perez at turn 3, next up is Pierre Gasly, and hopefully we can dispatch of these cars quite soon, so that we can go and chase after my teammate and the Ferraris and the Red Bulls, as those are much quicker. As we are about to see, we go up the inside of Pierre Gasly. Not really a hard move, getting a little bit of oversteer, but luckily we made the move stick, and therefore we could carry on our race. Next up is Kvyat, Danny Kvyat. We're up into P11. This is a chance for the points. As he goes very slowly through there, we do make a slight bit of contact. I'm checking my front wing to make sure that we don't lose it, and because damage is on, and we make sure we get a good exit, but we do have a slight bit of oversteer. And the new thing is the overtake button, so we don't have to change our ERS system so often. But at this point I'm just trying to keep it as high as possible, make sure I can save as much as I can while overtaking these people, as I don't want to waste it before needing to catch up to the fast guys to try and make the last reverse challenge work. As we go around the outside of Danny Kivi, I've even got a bit onto the grass there, and he almost gets us back because I had to go in quite wide, because otherwise I would have run into the back of him. But luckily that's another move done, and we into the points. And now here comes we're coming up to the back of Norris here, and DRS is now enabled. We're using some of our overtake, and I wasn't even trying to go for the move, but he brakes quite early and we can send it down the inside of turn 3. And now the next clip is us coming onto the back of Sans. This was happy hunting around it. The AR was quite slow through here, and we could just send it up the inside of the second to last corner, and they had no choice but to yield the position. We're in P8 now on lap 4. This is going very well. I think we have a shot of winning this race, and we still have 95% battery. And now I'm going to be using that battery to overtake Ocon around the outside of turn 3. We had the move done, but then he came back at us, and so we did make a slight bit of contact. But yet, all is good in this race, and hopefully we can move forward. Right, the next clip is a lap later, lap 6. We're coming up to the back of Daniel Ricciardo, and as we go a bit wide through there, but nothing to worry about. No penalties yet. Still on our second warning, as I decided to make a late lunge for the inside, but to avoid contact I go over the barrier, and that has resulted in a penalty. And now we have our work cut out for us, as we not only have to catch up to our teammates and the leaders, but we also have to pull a 3-second gap, as we are setting purple sectors, so it just confirms that we have the pace over everyone else, and hopefully we can make this strategy work onto the hard tires when we eventually pit. And as you can see in this next clip is at the end of lap 8, and Charles Leclerc has dived it in, and I think he's also going on to the hard tires, I'm not sure. And now we found ourselves in P5. The next clip is on lap 9, where we are starting to catch onto the back of Albon. I was expecting him to go into the pits this time, or at least Max Verstappen, but as you can see, Max Verstappen has not dived it in. And now that has Albon, as my teammate and Vettel have both dived it in. This lap, we're going to respond on the next lap. And I was also expecting Albon to put this lap, or at least Verstappen, but I don't think either of them eventually did. And so they are trying to make the overcut work, while we are trying to go for the undercut. As we did hit the side of Albon there when we tried to overtake him, but luckily there was no damage. So we are still good to go for the rest of the 19 laps, as we dive it in for a set of hards. We almost missed the pit entry, but luckily we didn't.
Go.
As there you can see Daniel Ricciardo is also pitting this lap, and so are a lot of other cars, but yet there comes Perez and Stroll also trying to make the overcut work. And there is my teammate and Vettel. We are not very far behind them at all, and Leclerc. So Leclerc dived it in for a set of stops, which means he is doing the 2-stop. We'll see how that works out for him as we are catching up to the back of Leclerc, Hamilton and Vettel. We have a bit of oversteer through the last corner. We still don't have DRS as we caught them mostly after the DRS detection zone. And now it is lap 12 and we are doing very nicely as the leader, the net race leader, Vettel, is only like 3 seconds up the road. As you see, a yellow flag, and here is the Red Bull of Max Verstappen on the right hand side. As we dive it up Leclerc's inside, as he was going slowly because of the yellow flag, but yet the yellow flag was not in that corner, so I was actually allowed to do that move, and it was very cheeky of me, but I made it stick, and that's what it counts. But coming on to the next lap, Leclerc comes back up at me, and I thought I left him space, but sadly he wasn't able to make it out of that corner the right way around, and therefore we have to just carry on with our race. I'm very sorry if that was my fault, but I honestly think that I tried to give him quite a lot of space. And now we're coming onto the back of Bottas, but at this point I'm just trying to save fuel, save battery, make sure when the time is needed I can pull out that 3-second gap because of the penalty. And now we are just trying to save fuel and battery, and I noticed through that chicane I was very bad compared to the AI. On previous games I was very good, but now my line through there now means that I get a warning every time. So now I have to change my line and make sure that I get it right. And I'm thinking about going down the inside, but then Bottas defends it quite well, and I can't outbrake my teammate as much as I can outbrake everyone else. And so coming on to lap 15, I see a yellow flag and there's no one else on the mini-map, and as you can see Vettel is off the track, which promotes us into P2, and Bottas was going very slowly through there, and luckily there was no damage, but I thought there would be because we had pretty heavy contact. And now 3 on lap 15, the same lap, we get DRS, and now I'm trying to push to get past Bottas as my battery's full and I have saved enough fuel. And I wasn't even trying to go for the move, I realized I was too far away, but Bottas locks up and we get a bit of damage as we run into the back of him. I was a bit pissed off because I thought I should have maybe stayed on the brakes a bit longer and made sure that it was okay not to get damage, but it is what it is. We got through although we had damage, and now we get another warning, but now we have to push to get that 3-second gap. And now coming on to the end of lap 16, we have a 1.4 second gap to Bottas, 1.5 now even, and it is doing very well. So now a few laps later, lap 18, we have put a 2.5 second gap to Bottas. We are still doing pretty well with the damage, although I can tell you now Bottas on those hard tyres, he's doing very well, and eventually he will set the fastest lap of the race, and I just did not have the pace at the end of the race to keep up with him. But hopefully we can still win this race by putting a gap early on, as now our line still isn't great through there, and I thought I was going to get a warning for that, but luckily there was no warning. As we're coming on to the end of lap 19, start of lap 20, and we have now pulled the 3-second gap, and so now that we have pulled the 3 to 4 second gap, we can now chill, although I still wasn't happy just in case we got another warning, which is very common. But hopefully throughout this game I can change that and make sure that I'm not getting as many warnings, but I'm still fast.
We're pulling away by about half a second a lap. We've got an opportunity to look after the car here.
I'm not sure if he's talking about tyres or damage, but the only reason I had the damage was because Bottas locked up and I ran into the back of him, and now there are no more cars in front of me. so I don't think that we really need to look after the car in that sense, as I can drive perfectly well on my own. So I'm still going to push as we get another time penalty, which now means I have to push to gain another 2 seconds over Bottas and pull a 6-second gap to make sure that we still win this race. And as you can see in front of us, we have our first back marker, Nicholas Latifi. And we make a very little mistake there, but that cost us a second of time, and that means that I now have to pull another 3 seconds ahead of Bottas instead of 2 seconds. And now all I'm hoping is that Latifi will let me go very quickly without any hesitation. Through here I had to back off a little bit, but he really let me go nicely, which is nice compared to F1 2019, where sometimes they wouldn't let you go as nicely, and I could keep a relatively good pace throughout that lap. And as you can see now, coming up to the back of lap 24, the gap is 4.5 seconds, so I have gained back the time, but we make another mistake and go into the wall a little bit, but luckily there was no more damage than what I already had. And now all I have to do is make sure that it's damage limitation to the end of the race, and make sure that I need to push to get to the 6-second gap, but after that I really do not want any more trouble. Coming on to lap 26, the gap is now 5.1 seconds, and now all we have to gap is another 8/10 of a second, which isn't really that much, as I was already gaining about a second per lap. As you can see, we are now 6.2 seconds, and now 3 laps to go. We are in the box seat of winning this race. And as you can see, coming on to the middle of lap 28, we get another warning, and I can confirm that that is the second warning. So that means if we get one more warning, we will get another penalty. And with 2 laps left, I was sure that we could not pull another 2 seconds to Bottas, as my tires were starting to go off. I was starting to lose pace a little bit. And now we are coming on to the back of more back markers, but luckily it is the last lap. And we still have 8/10 to Bottas before our penalty kicks in. And now all I want is Russell to let me go very easily, as I can't lose too much time to Bottas, and he does so, which is nice. He also gives me a little bit of slipstream, but not too much, as it wasn't a long straight. And now coming on to the end of the 29 lap race, we are on the back of Grosjean, but that doesn't matter. He will be able to finish the race as a 29 lap race, unlike Russell behind us, which will have a 28 lap race. We come home to win the Australian Grand Prix. This is a great start to this season. Hopefully we can continue this and win the championship. We also get driver of the day. I hope you all enjoyed this race. It was very fun to do. And there we go.
Talk to me. What do you think it was that sealed the win for them?
Well, when you overtake that many people, I'd certainly hope you'd win the race. Their car was really effective in the slipstream here today, and the team would be pleased that they didn't cook the engine, given how long they were spending in the hot air behind other cars. They had a lot of confidence to push their tyres hard as well, especially going into the corners, which allowed for some late braking and some exciting passes.
So after a
thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Comment down below what you'd like to see after this championship season. I hope you all enjoyed this race. Hopefully we can start a My Team career mode after this, maybe even an online segment. I'm going to be doing my league racing soon, which will be very nice. Hope you all enjoyed. Thank you. Goodbye.